You gonna murder this one and murder that one. Talking all that bullshit. I'ma put it to you like this, yo.
This is for the nerds, this is for the brainiacs, this what we deserve. Go ahead and play it back, you ain't gonna touch me, you not gonna do nothing, you are not above me, I bet you wish you was me, I know it, I know.
What is poppin', everybody? And welcome back to another special episode of the Only Friends podcast. Well, you know, it's me and my only friends, which includes, but is not limited to, my boy Guapito. What's poppin', Guapo? How you feeling today?
Buenos dias, Connie. How are you?
I'm chilling. What's going on?
The boss hates me.
I heard. This shit was crazy.
I wish I could show you right now, but Pip is right next to me because she loves me and not because I give her chicken and meat and.
She looks like an abandoned street dog, like begging for her next meal.
So Newt.
Yeah, kind of. She's alive and well for everybody who had some concern. Not Conrad. This wasn't Conrad's fault. That's not fair. Conrad actually rescued her.
Yes, of course, like always.
Yeah, well,
like always.
Not go too far, buddy.
Is it really rescuing if you started the problem?
Listen, who's brought Pip to the ER the most? Hello.
No, that's not true at all.
The most? How many times did you have to go to the ER? Jesus. What the hell's going on over there, guys?
She had her ear ripped off by Newt.
By the abandoned street dog.
Yeah.
Yep.
Just absolutely detached from her head. Which is how I identified what was wrong with her yesterday, because whenever they reattached her ear, they gave her pain meds, and she got like real wobbly. And
dude, that was pretty scary yesterday. I'm not gonna lie.
I was pretty sure she was high.
Yeah.
I looked in her eyes, and there was just nothing there, just dead behind the eyes.
You've seen that look before.
I've seen that look before. Yeah, glazed over to say the least. I'm like, this dog is high as shit. We need to get her an IV prompto.
So what do they do for that?
She just
Give
got
her an IV.
No, she just got like
They just flush it out.
So if she was to stay there, she would have got an IV.
Oh.
But she just got some liquids and
What
an
are some liquids? What does that mean?
just some fluids put in her underneath her skin.
That's an IV, no?
No, an IV is something that they drip into you.
Okay.
It's basically subs that out.
IV adjacent.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
But and they
I didn't
also
know there
gave
was
her
a quick version of the IV. I would like that.
they also gave her
It wasn't intravenous?
anti-nausea. But yeah, they said it just runs for 24 hours and normally gone.
Yeah, she was
But
fine when I
she
got
had a
home.
fever. That was the scary part.
It was low. It wasn't a lot though. I mean, it's a lot for us.
You said that. No.
Well, you text me. You're like, she has a fever of 104. I'm like, Jesus Christ, and you're like, but it's usually 102.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, okay.
But the nurse literally said that's like a heat stroke status almost.
Oh.
And it was 104.8 what they said on the paper actually.
2 degrees is that scary?
Yeah, I guess. I don't know.
Why didn't we?
Normal
leave her?
dog heat is 102.
No, because he told me like the way the doctor was about it. He's like, hey, just go home with her, hang out with her, she'd be fine. If you want us to keep her, we can. But
Don't let her eat any more weed. It's very important to keep her away.
Sure.
No more edibles.
Dare to keep kids off drugs.
I see. They knew, man, all the way back in elementary school. They
They're talking
understood.
about dogs.
Weed is a gateway drug, Pip.
Yeah.
Don't you understand?
You better start huffing coke.
Don't you
Start doing heroin.
understand? We love you, Pip. Don't do this.
You don't know what pain you cause us.
You don't need to turn to a life of
Today's
debauchery.
episode is an intervention.
Intervention about a few things.
Yeah, that's true.
Drugs and dentistry.
Drugs and dentistry. We have a great show for you guys today. We're going to kick things off with Tommy LaRussa. LaRosa. I'm getting the vowels.
Okay, Danny LaRusso.
I went Tommy Lasorda in my head
Sweep
all the
the
way
leg.
to LaRusso to LaRosa. He's been the poker room manager for Venetian for the better part of 20 years, and they are undertaking a brand new opening. They're moving the room up to the Canal Shops just above where the old room was. So, if you guys aren't aware, we're doing a lot of work with them this opening month. The Above the Felt team, so myself, Landon, Kerstetter, Osmus, Farragelfond, and a bunch of others will all be in attendance. I think we're going to bring him in now and discuss a little bit about what's been going on with the new renovation, where the location's at, why you guys should care. and everything of the sort.
He's connecting.
He's in? Okay. All right. We'll let him connect.
Let him
Connect away there, Mr. La Rosa. Yeah, I got it right that time.
Yeah, good job.
I'm a little, dyslexic at times, You put an A where an O goes, an O where an A goes. You would never make that mistake.
No.
Italian name ends in A.
Yeah, exactly.
That's it.
Yep.
A or I.
You can say Lamana, you can say Lamana.
Here we go.
All right. Hello, Tommy. Welcome. Well, we don't hear you.
There it is.
How are you?
We're great. We're absolutely great.
I'm close.
Landon's not doing great
I'm
at all.
almost there.
He's in some pain, but the rest of us we're doing fantastic. So this is the new room you're coming from? Pretty amazing. I got to tour the room before the actual construction was complete. So I have to tell you, it looks very different from what I saw and what I expected it to look like, I think. How many tables, before we kind of get into too many logistics, how many tables are you guys actually going to have?
When we're full spread, like in the summertime, we'll have 50 tables on the gaming floor, and then we'll have one table in our streaming studio.
Oh, that's awesome. Before we get into the streaming studio stuff, I know you guys are very popular when it comes to the summer series, a lot of the 2-3, 2-5 stake levels. What is the plan for Overflow? Like, will you guys be doing something similar to what you did before, or is it all going to be housed within the room?
Yeah, so going forward, we'll be doing all of our tournament series right here in this room with 50 tables. We think we'll be able to handle some tremendous crowds with some large guarantees in the summertime. So we're very excited. The additional tables that we'll have compared to what we've had the last few years is going to be amazing for our schedules and for our players.
Yeah, it's pretty great for the Deep Stack series. Probably one of the longest running events in Vegas, I think, at this point. Maybe even, yeah, I mean, when I think about it, like nothing really still exists outside of the Deep Stack series from when I first moved out here in 2008. So you guys have been at it for a long time. You've been there for 20 years. I guess this is kind of an easy way to piggyback off it. What do you do specifically to keep the room relevant, especially now that you're working from a new facility?
I think it's there's a tremendous amount of great tours around the country, right? So it's paying attention to what the competitors are doing, right? What they're doing to stay ahead of the curve. And then it's speaking to my counterparts, right? Understanding what they're doing, having those great relationships, building those bonds with my counterparts in the industry. And then most importantly, it's speaking to players, right? Understanding the local base and the tourist base that's coming in for our events, what they like, what they want to see, and what they want to play, right? I have a tremendous amount of players who email me, they call me, they text me, they reach out to me on social media through personal messages. So staying in contact with them and having dialogue back and forth and just understanding, what they're looking for and what's going to help them travel to come play our events here in Las Vegas.
I think one easy thing to pull out of that answer is kind of the communication between yourself and the players, the focus on bringing traffic from not just within Las Vegas, but also people traveling across the country. What did you guys try to focus on with this new build as far as amenities go that would be more attractive to both the reg grinder from Vegas as well as maybe a tourist who's willing to travel?
Yeah, we tried to put everything in this room that a player would need to have comfort, to want to be in these chairs and these seats for hours upon hours, day after day, right? So we have brand new chairs in the room. We're bringing back our self-service coffee and soda station, which was a big hit with our players. Mm-hmm. We have dedicated restrooms right here in the room. So we have a tremendous amount of space in between tables, just like we had downstairs in our current space. So we just tried to give the players everything that they would want and need in a poker room. And I can't wait to unveil it to everybody.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited for the meetup game. It's nice to be able to do one here rather than having to travel to somewhere in the Midwest that I've never been before. Not that there's anything wrong with the Midwest as
You're from the Midwest. I don't know what you're talking about.
Conrad has pointed out so many times. When you guys built this, what was like the standout, the like non-negotiable must-have, the dream kind of item that you shot for the moon and kind of got greenlit?
So I think that's pretty obvious, and it's the streaming studio, right? To be able to have a streaming studio here right in the room where we'll be able to stream not only deep stack final tables, but cash games. And we're also looking at hopefully partnering with vendors on hosting podcasts, right? There's a tremendous amount of podcasts that are available out there, from business to sports to fantasy, right? And being able to do those podcasts right here live from the Venetian Poker Room. And in addition to streaming, like I said, tournament tables and cash games, that was something that I shot for, and the leadership here have supported me the entire way.
Yeah, pretty amazing. We haven't seen much in the way of innovation when it comes to streams here local, outside of, I think, just what PokerGo has done for the last 6 or 7 years. What is the plan for launch with the streaming studio? I assume that's not launching right now with the opening of the room.
It's not going to open August 1st with a new room. We wanted to make sure that we were partnering with the right vendors outside of this building, and we were aligned on the vision and the security of the studio. So I expect it to be online in October, November, around that time frame. Hope to have it streaming in time for the Winter Series here. That always happens around December.
Yeah, that'd be a good time. Obviously, Vegas is very hype around that time. If you get any big cash games running, by all means, hit me up. I'm happy to come and maybe splash around a little bit on the streaming streets.
So if you're in the game, is that gonna fill my list up here?
Rumor has it that I can build a game from time to time. People will come. Ray, if you build it, people will come.
You should just put Berkey's name on the list for like 100, 200, and just see if anybody comes. Just leave it there.
Yeah, that's true. just leave it there permanently, and if a game starts, just call me. I'll be down.
Fair enough. Yeah, we might have to test the theory out.
I'm kind of open to it. All right, Tommy. Let's kind of wrap things up by highlighting this opening month schedule. We have the big meetup game on Thursday. Myself, Landon will both be there for that, as well as Jamin Burton, Jamie Kerstetter, Farrah Galfon, Jeremy Osmus, and a host of others. Jamie will be hosting a women's meetup cash game on the August 9th. I believe that's going to be Friday the 9th in the evening time. There are 2 tournaments on the schedule, a $400 50K guaranteed grand opening bounty tournament, which we're all going to play, and we're going to have bounties on our head, as well as the MSPT 1100 500K guarantee on September 5th. I think Jamin's also hosting a vlogger meetup game August 23rd, and then there's a final meetup game Friday the 13th. Did that just about cover all the major events?
Activations that we have going in August and September that we're super excited about. We're gonna have tons of giveaways throughout each of those activations. We got some exciting things happen. We got some surprises happening this Thursday night with some giveaways as well. So we're very excited to have you guys be a part of that. And I can't wait to open the doors and just welcome all our regular players and the out-of-town players who are going to be here and just be a part of this room. It's so clean, it's so modern, and it truly is going to be the best poker room in the city. I truly believe that, and I just can't wait for everybody to see it. But I do have one piece of exciting news that I haven't shared with anybody yet that I would love to share on this podcast right now.
Breaking news.
Yeah.
Hit us with it.
Yeah. So currently in our poker room, players earn $1 an hour for every cash game hour played in poker rewards, right? Poker rewards that they can use to eat, massages at Canyon Ranch, at various vendors on property. Starting August 1st, when we open the brand new room, through December 31st of this year, that's from August 1st to December 31st, players are going to earn $3 per hour in cash games.
Wow.
That's
Triple.
Let's go.
All right.
Every hour played, regardless of what game you're playing. So that's a tremendous new room promotion. It's going to start August 1st when we open the doors and through the end of the year. So I don't know if there's anybody out there offering $3 per hour in comps, but we're going to offer it to all our players through the rest of the year.
I have to tell you that's pretty exciting for anybody who has dabbled in the Canyon Ranch Spa. You can play enough hours to have a good time at the spa between now and the end of year.
Can't wait to take Michelle to the Grand Lux.
All right. If that doesn't get people out there, I don't know what will. The Venetian's giving away a lot of free money, a lot of free prizes. We're all going to be in attendance Thursday, 6 p.m. The doors open officially. I think that, I'm really excited to see the new room. I'm excited to work with you, Tommy. And I think everybody, local and otherwise, should be pretty pumped about just anything new in this space, as well as how generous you guys are being with the amenities, the comps, the parking, and all of those things that can tend to be a bit of a burden for the day-to-day grinder.
We're very excited to partner with you guys. There's a ton of amenities that this room is going to be able to offer that no other room has. And we have a ton of things coming. We didn't mention them all, but we created 200 dedicated parking spots on Palazzo Level 2 of the Palazzo Parking Garage for our loyal players who are Poker Sapphire level and above. We're bringing back 300 safety deposit box for the security and convenience of our players, who are our loyal players here playing in the room day after day. We have many more amenities on the way and exciting things to tell you guys about. So we just can't wait to open the doors, get you guys inside and start playing.
Awesome.
Super excited for it. Thanks for joining us, Tommy. Appreciate you guys giving us a bit of an inside look at what the room's going to be like. Looking forward to being there Thursday, 6 p.m. Anybody who's in town that wants to come hang out, we'll all be there splashing around. Be sure to join us.
Guys, thanks for having me today. It's been a pleasure. And Thursday, August 1st can't come soon enough.
We'll see you then.
Awesome.
All right,
Thanks,
see you.
Tommy.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Tommy. All right. So, yeah, if you guys are in the neighborhood, I'm not saying that I'm just going to give away thousands of dollars in a meetup game, but
Berkey.
I'm not saying I'm going to win either.
Berkey.
Yeah.
You've never lost in a meetup game.
No, that's not true. I got one.
Like you tried to give so much action.
I got
You just
whacked.
got so lucky every time.
No, I got whacked in Potawatomi.
Oh, did you?
Oh yeah.
Oh,
man.
good for them.
Those cheeseheads, man. They know how to fucking. they play like me is the problem.
But the Skolansky bucks that you're gonna build up, is just,
yeah,
I mean, through the roof.
Yeah.
Let's go.
It was
Yeah.
you versus Josh Reicher's rail.
Yeah, pretty much. Kept trying to run bluffs and they weren't having it. No, not one bit. But yeah, I think we're gonna be playing 1-3-2-3-2-5 or 1-3-2-5-3-5, I
Do
believe.
we know what
Awesome.
the caps are?
1-3 is 300, 2-3 is 600, 3-5 is
1,200 maybe?
maybe. It's more than 1,000, I think.
Yeah, I think it is too.
So
and
they switched it up from what it is currently, right?
yeah, currently it's 1-3-2-4-2-5.
Right.
But yeah, they're switching it. 1-3, 2-3 are going to be jackpot games.
Mm-hmm.
3-5 is not.
It's gonna be time rate.
They
correct?
I'm not sure about that.
Okay.
That part I'm not sure of.
Does
But
that mean if it wasn't? Oh yeah, that's true.
it's going to be red chip heaven. That's for sure.
Oh yeah.
Interesting.
The 2-3 600.
2-3 sounds nice.
2-3 600. That's my game.
Okay.
That's my jewel game.
Okay. Well, I got to tell you.
But you know what? You don't get
But you
$3.
get
You don't get $3 an hour.
That's right.
with the jewel.
Whatever game I'm playing, you guys are going to want to be in. I
Yeah.
can assure you that much.
Save me a seat.
So yeah, be sure they're switching over to Poker Atlas, but I don't think you can officially see the list until it goes live on Thursday. But in the meantime, I believe you can call in and put your name on a meetup game list.
Do you think that Bravo is a dying
Yes.
company?
Yes.
I mean,
it's been dying for years.
I know, but it's it's been hanging around though too.
Well, because they secured the biggest contracts
Right.
in the WSOP.
So who does Atlas now? Resorts World,
Resorts win Venetian.
change, and now Venetian.
Yeah.
I believe
I mean,
Texas does. Like all Texas does.
Yeah, a lot of Texas. I think a lot
places.
of LA does as well.
Yeah.
The Atlas
I
is
think
taking
WPT
over.
used it on the cruise too, right?
Yeah, they did.
Yeah. The big thing with Atlas, big shout out to John, founder and creator. He's been a local legend here for years. The big thing with Atlas that is so easy and so lazy by Bravo to not actually do is that they integrate their product with an app and then they facilitate the places that use Atlas with an iPad. So every table just has this like full, like baked in system that allows things to go digital.
Mhm.
Whereas Bravo is just like basically one step above the old written list.
Yeah.
Like literally, it's just you can key in a name, and then there's a list, and that's kind of it.
I will
You
say the Bravo system at WSOP does work pretty well.
Yeah, but it only works well compared to like the alternative, which is nothing. Think about it in terms of like EPT and like Stars Run events that are fully digital.
Yeah.
Like the win
There's
is
no seat cards.
the win is now fully digital. You don't get a seat card when you register. I mean, you get a receipt, I guess, but like when you show up to the table, they know that it's you.
Yeah,
I believe anyway. I'm pretty sure that was the case in the 10K.
they do.
Yeah.
Like they just need your ID still, but
Right. So everything starts to progress digital, and that's I'm pretty sure due in part to their partnership with Atlas. So yeah, I think Atlas is seemingly going to become the industry standard sooner than later, or Bravo is going to have to release, some widespread upgrades. But it doesn't seem like it seemed like one of those apps that was created in like 2008 and was really good at the time, and then they just stopped developing.
sounds like the 888 software for the series. It just got updated this year.
Well, sort of.
No, the 888 software was updated for WSOP Online.
For Nevada and Jersey, but it's been updated for PA and Michigan for years.
Vegas moves slow, man.
It's that's less on 888 and more on
That's more of our gaming laws.
yeah, gaming and shit like that. But whatever, neither here nor there. All right. Before we get into the main story of today, which is shocker, more scummery.
I thought we were going to talk about the trade deadline.
No, we are not.
Why? What are you
Why
talking
would you
about?
want to? Like,
Pittsburgh hasn't done anything.
we're the most idle team in the league.
I know.
Like,
It's sad.
Oh, man, it's so nice to see it all just finally settle in on you.
What?
I mean,
What is settling in?
just
I haven't changed my stance from the beginning. I said we need to add a few bats to the team, and we would be very much in the race, and that's not changed. I'm sad that we're not adding the two outfielders that we need. Maybe we will. We still got 3.5 hours.
3.5 hours and no outfielders left on the market.
There's a couple.
Yeah.
Not very many though.
Yeah, sure.
I knew we could talk about the trade deadline a little bit. All right, go on with the scams.
Now, before we get to the scams, we got to give Kessler his.
He's getting scammed too.
He is getting actually right.
You win 1.2 million, and somehow you're getting scammed.
You're actually right. You're actually very right.
Yeah.
That he is indeed somehow getting scammed. So he won $1.2 million yesterday.
I mean, that's still awesome.
Which is great. But then he read the fine print, which apparently was on the slot machine somewhere. And this is what's crazy is you have the opportunity to take a 20-year annuity, which means that he'll make $60K-ish per year for 20 years.
Right.
Or an undisclosed amount lump sum. So they don't tell you
Until you actually win.
it's being negotiated.
Oh, really?
Alan is basically being presented with a meeting from the owners of whatever this company
Aristocrat?
is. Aristocrat, yeah.
He's playing deal or no deal, man.
Yeah. And he's like
That's
like,
insane.
He's like, what's the bottom that I should accept in this meeting? Like what number should I be negotiating to?
Dude, they're gonna fuck him. They're gonna throw in a couple Snickers bars.
Right.
And he's just gonna say sold.
Yeah.
So you can take him to a comp dinner. 3 poker girls of your choice.
Right. No, they're gonna be like, okay, listen, we'll give you half the jackpot and you get an annuity of chicken tenders for the next 20 years.
Where do I sign?
We'll pay you full amount, but it's just in comp dollars.
Yeah, he'll
Right.
decline and they'll be like, look, you really jerking our chain, but plain oatmeal. Whenever you want.
From now until the day you die.
From now until the day you're in the casket.
So Alan also put in the this is kind of funny. He put in the so he said, math nerds, what's the bare minimum I should accept in one lump sum versus a 20-year annuity? Bear in mind I may not live 20 more years. He's not that old, by the way.
Yeah, there's a lot of things to consider.
How old is he?
Mid 50s maybe.
No way.
I mean, yeah, he's he looks every day of it, but
Like, what if you say you decide to take the annuity, right?
Yeah.
And now, for some reason, who knows? Because you can't foresee what's going to happen in 20 years. the company Thunder Valley, whoever owns Thunder Valley, I'm not sure exactly how it works. What if the company goes bankrupt? Do you just not get that money? Can they not pay you? Like,
Right.
there's certain, like, I was like, when I read that, I was like, just take the lump sum. You can invest it yourself.
With annuities,
there's
I
tax
assume
implications, but
with annuities, I assume there's some level of insurance or protection.
yeah, maybe.
I mean, like,
right.
you know.
That should be known, obviously, before you make your decision.
Of course. In general, I think like the suggestion is to figure out a way to get the lump sum to make it worthwhile.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I think he's right. This is just a math problem. There's definitely a break-even point or a plus EV point where taking the lump sum outperforms. The big issue is that if you're already sacrificing a large percentage of the jackpot that you would otherwise get over the 20 years, you are then sacrificing more on top of that with the tax burden.
Yeah.
Because taking $60K a year is like a pretty easy write-off. Now, the exchange with that is you have to outperform inflation over the next 20 years.
Right. Which is also hard to do.
Well, sort of. I mean, if you, like, let's say that
the first few years it's easy. The last few years it's hard.
Yes, it's hard to do, but you may just outperform it in like the first 10 years anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So like say that they offer you 600,000.
Yeah.
Would 1.2 million over 20 years, basically paying no tax on it, outperform having 500,000 or 600,000 taxed now?
Right.
Probably.
Yeah.
Right.
But with like, it depends on how good of an investor you are, right? If you can comfortably think you can make 10 to 15 to 20% year over year with the compounding interest, over 20 years. You're going to be doing a lot better, but that's a lot of ifs.
Because if so,
that's a lot of ifs.
I mean, if you can do that, take my money, buddy.
I mean, the stock market. I mean, just investing in
Hey man,
like right now.
slow and steady.
I'm just investing in the stock
capital.
market. They expect to make like 10% a year, so like that's, I mean, not. I think 10% is not hard to do.
I don't think. I think it's kind of a fool's errand to look at performative returns.
The tortoise legally blonde moment of what? Like it's hard.
Like when you start to look at performance-based returns, I think there's just like too many variables. I would assume you just want to compare the like fixed interest returns that you can get.
Yeah, but that's the minimum you can get.
You guys know what the big
Right?
problem
Right.
here is?
Yeah.
Let me tell you what the big problem here is, right? Alan posted this shit.
Yeah.
He posted the question.
Yeah.
This motherfucker never posted the answer.
Oh, I assume he didn't have the meeting yet, but maybe not.
This was 9 hours ago.
9 hours ago. Well, he's asleep right now.
I mean,
It's 12:30 at Thunder Valley.
Allen versus the
He's,
Buffalo.
he's out cold.
I'm tilted right now.
I mean,
I just want to know what the number they offered. I don't care if he took it or not. I just want to know the number that they offered.
Yeah.
I'm so tilted by that.
I'm very confident they have not had the meeting.
So you said somebody in the comments, an accountant or something, crunched the numbers and they came up with 800,000.
There were a bunch of people in the comments
Roughly?
that echoed somewhere in the neighborhood of 790K.
If you're taking inflation into account and like the interest rate of like a T-bill or something like that.
Yeah, they're not considering tax though, so it might actually be slightly higher due to the tax burden.
Right.
Lee said, "I had the same thought. 10% APR. Brian, please send me your ABA and account." Lamanna's just like low key rich, and we didn't even know it. Fuck.
Listen, just buy Bitcoin. Pump my bags, everybody, please.
Okay,
It's
so
where it's about to start leverage trading, man.
Start.
All or nothing.
What are we trading derivatives here?
Oh man, I've seen this story end a time or two. Okay, so anyway, congratulations to Alan. Unlucky to get scammed. Hopefully he gets a number that he's happy with.
You think you're gonna put on his Hendon Mob earnings?
I mean, it might get him even for the year.
Yeah.
The bigger story that we need to touch on, and I want to give a little bit of a backstory here before we bring in our guest. We've been talking about this for a while, and Patrick Howard released a podcast yesterday, kind of reigniting the conversation. This has been going on for several months with very little communication back from Ignition Poker. The idea is that it's one of the last remaining anonymous sites, and most of the regs are quite confident in there both being bots as well as collusion at mostly every stake level, but specifically at like 200 NL and above. Patrick did a wonderful podcast yesterday. If you guys have the chance to go check that out, it's on Spotify and all other podcast platforms. And one of the stories that caught my eye that he was able to highlight was this basically tale, I guess, of a player on Ignition Poker who kind of just understood that the bots existed and collected enough MDA to try to find a way to max exploit them. And this is very tricky, mind you, because they're playing in an anonymous pool. So it's not like you just get to tag certain accounts and say like, oh, these guys are bots. Anytime they sit, I'll just hard counter them. It takes some discovery pretty much every session to figure out like who's doing what. But essentially, this player who goes by the moniker Peter was able to figure out some very common bet sizing tells. And I guess one of the most obvious ones, he can talk a little bit more about this, but one of the most obvious ones was that they use multiple sizes pre. Which is very easy for a bot to balance, but very difficult for a human to balance. So he would just like hard counter them and develop a strategy that basically took maximum advantage of the way that they were programmed within these specific nodes. End result was he beat the bots for a little bit over or a little bit under 100K in a short period of time. And then shortly thereafter, his account was closed. Ignition basically said, we no longer want your business. He shared with us some of these screenshots of the back and forth with their, what's it called? Customer support. There we go. So the first one was basically, hi, your account has been temporarily disabled. It's currently under review. In order to complete the investigation, we kindly ask you to submit the following documentation. He had to send a copy of his ID, an image of his ID, driver's license, etc., proof of address, such as a utility bill, all the usual stuff that sites usually ask for when they want to know if you're breaking TOCs or terms of service in some sort of capacity. He sent that all in. They said, thank you for submitting. Your account is currently under review. Then shortly thereafter, he got another email that said, the investigation into your account has been concluded and your account will be re-enabled. That was just simply to withdraw. They sent him a final email that said, hi, Peter. Thanks for contacting Ignition customer support. We hope this email finds you in health. It's understandable how frustrating it is when you're unable to access your site as usual. Your poker access was disabled as per the discussion of the respective team while your account was under review. We cannot share the details as to why this precisely was the decision. The decision is definitive and final. Please kindly consider that this will be disclosed every time you contact us. We're available 24/7 if you need anything else. So basically, he's allowed to gamble in the casino, but he's never allowed to play poker anymore. Now, there are a million reasons to speculate, and I think we'll get into some of them with him when we bring him in. But prior to that, I just want to make it clear that this problem isn't just like a one-off. This has been going on for the better part of 6 months with very minimal back and forth between Ignition and the consumer base. Earlier this month, maybe a couple weeks ago, I think, somebody sent me the link to a podcast called the AI Podcast. It's called This Day in AI Podcast. The title of the video is AI GPT 4.0 Mini, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. AI poker. And basically what it is a couple of guys who are well-versed in AI built a bot to play online poker. You can run this B-roll if you want, Guap. But essentially it was just a ChatGPT script where this guy would ask ChatGPT questions on how to execute strategy. And he had linked up some sort of AI to ChatGPT that was screen scraping, taking in all the information, and then ChatGPT was giving him strategy or strategic responses: raise, call, fold, use this sizing, use that sizing, etc. And he said it started off a little bit rocky, but as things progressed and it continued to learn more, it was doing really well. Now he was
actually giving it prompts to like really hone in on like what the suits of the cards were. Like that was the first glitch. It wasn't really getting the suits right.
Right, correct. And so like as it played and as it learned more, it became a lot more efficient and a lot better at things. And he's like, not only was I able to win money, he's playing relatively small. I think he's playing 100 NL or 200 NL. He said they were able to win a few $100, but by the end, it was making good decisions that he intuitively would have never found. And to be fair, like, it's not like this guy is a winning poker player or anything of the sort. He, if you listen to him talk, it's very clear that he's an amateur or whatever, but this just went totally undetected, right? So clearly the security at Ignition is not just flawed, but potentially a little bit compromised in the sense that the bots aren't being banned. The person beating the bots are being banned.
I'm trying to understand that. What's the logic behind that?
Honestly, can't tell. I truly don't know. There's a lot of things I could speculate, but let's bring Peter in and kind of hear his side of the story. I'd rather hear it from the horse's mouth than my summary. How's it going, young man?
Hello. How we doing?
Good.
Fantastic. Where are you residing?
I'm Brisbane, Australia. So it's 5:30 in the morning right now. So good morning.
Oh,
everyone.
good morning.
I was wondering. You told me the time was different, and I was just like, man, I'm not sure what part of the world he's in, but it's not anywhere nearby.
Yeah, pretty much the complete other side.
Well, we appreciate you taking the time to join us. Huge Aussie fans here, so you have friends in the room. Why don't you tell us a little bit of the story of how this all went down?
February I joined Nacho CFP. Went overseas for a holiday immediately. And then when I came back, kind of reconnected with my study partners. I joined with a friend, reconnected with him, and we really dove deep into NDA around exploiting the bots. And that was basically my life for 2 months, was just playing versus the bots, studying the bots, reviewing hands played versus the bots, talking about the bots for the better part of 2 months.
How were you guys able to identify in an anonymous pool who was likely to be a bot at your table?
I guess one important thing to when I like talking about the bots publicly, I just want to be a little bit careful because we have evidence that they do monitor public channels and they do adjust to
right. That's fair.
So, like, for example, there was something they used to do a lot, which was every like maybe once every like second day or something. So once every couple thousand hands, they would do this collusion line where you'd be multi-way and they'd get you to the river, and then they'd try and like sandwich you between bets and raises and and whatnot. And Patrick Howard put a tweet out about with about like a dozen or so of these collusion spots, which was this line that they used. And then the very next day that was gone. I haven't seen that line since. None of my study partners have seen that since. So actually talking about what the bots are doing is a little bit of a topic that I do want to tiptoe around.
That's very fair.
Yeah, but we there are things the bots do that are very, very not human, and they're very consistent, and we're able to use that to, I guess, tag bots and look at them later.
So a better question than, without actually giving away any specifics, would be roughly how many hands would it take you in an anonymous pool to kind of have some sense that you were playing against bots, and as well, a situation where you could employ counters?
Oh, a lot.
Yeah.
Well, like on any particular table, it doesn't take many hands to identify a bot. Like they tend to play like a relatively weird strategy, and play in a very, very strange way. So like actually identifying who is a bot doesn't take very long, maybe like less than 100 hands.
Okay.
But to actually identify trends in data, it takes hundreds of thousands of hands. which is the real problem facing the lone wolf, average grinder, is that they'll just never have the hands to do something like this, or to try and beat the bots, because they just won't have the sample ever. Yeah.
I do think that this is like one of the stronger cases for how MDA is positively used. I also think it's like a pretty good example of how MDA could potentially be weaponized as well, but that's a totally different conversation, right? Because if we're talking about, instead of bots, like just one person, obviously if you guys can neutralize bots, you're going to do a pretty good job against a single human too.
Yeah.
But yeah,
it's like MDA is a seriously powerful weapon. That is like, it's one thing I think of, right, when you got the lone wolf grinder on Ignition who's trying to beat the bots, but in the same sense he's trying to beat regs like myself and my like study group, who just have like infinitely more information on how the game is being played. Like I don't know how that guy has any real chance, to be honest.
Right.
For sure, MDA is very, very, very powerful.
Yeah, and I don't really want to uncan that can of worms again. We did a panel on this maybe 6 months ago that I think is probably as good of a job as getting this conversation articulated as possible. But with like coming back to the situation that you found yourself in, you ultimately, how long did it take place that you were able to kind of neutralize and beat these guys?
So me personally, it was a little bit over 2 months. So I was in Japan for a couple of weeks in February, came back. I think I landed, or I started playing again the February the 23rd or something. So then between February the 23rd and May the 6th, I think I had an account. So just over those like 2.5 months.
And you're the only one of the sort that was like banned. I assume that like your study group as well is also neutralizing.
Oh yeah. I definitely had the best short-term results over that period. In April alone, I made a little bit over 50,000. But no, yeah, like there's a group of us, and they're still, as far as I'm concerned, completely fucking the bots over.
Right.
And I've been since January, so before I was involved.
Okay, that's interesting to me. And then correct me if I'm wrong, but Ignition did let you cash out.
Yes. It's the only, like I talked to Patrick Howard, Marinelli, a bunch of others. They've never heard of a ban like this where I can't play poker, but I can cash out. It's unheard of on Ignition, apparently.
Right. Obviously, everything that we say from this point on will be a little bit speculative, but it does seem to be very inconsistent with somebody who is thought to be a potential cheater themselves. So obviously, it doesn't seem like a breach of terms and service in any capacity that they're choosing to do this for. Now, of course, they're a private entity, so they can just choose to not accept business from whoever the hell they please. It's not an Australian issue, is it?
I don't think so, because I know a couple Australian players who still have an account,
right.
Still playing.
Right, yeah. Do you have any particular guesses as to what potentially led to the ban?
Yeah. I have two. One is like very unlikely, like maybe sub 10%. That I got banned for winning a lot versus the bots specifically, which opens a whole lot of questions of why. But I think the more likely and the kind of funnier reason is that Ignition customer service is just, the Ignition is run by some of the stupidest moronic people that have ever existed in poker. that they were able to look at their pool of high stakes players, of cheaters, RTAs, colluders, bots, VPNers, and then just somehow in that entire like mess of people, pick the only one that had a legitimate account and ban him. So, I think it's almost certainly just some level of just severe incompetence. That they just saw that I had a very good month and then a very good month, and they went, fuck it, just ban him to make just to be safe.
Yeah.
But which is scary because there's like so much money on this side, and the people they're not just asleep at the wheel, they just don't know how to drive the shit.
Do you think it's possible that they just don't want people winning that much in poker?
I thought that, but in the grand scheme of Ignition regs, there are people back in COVID days, there were people pulling $500,000 a year very, very easily. I've made less than 300,000 or so on Ignition. So in terms of reg win rates, I'm not anything special. And I'm sure that I can't be the only one who's had a $50,000 month on Ignition. There's no conceivable way.
and to be fair, we already know that this precedent was kind of set with GG, where they weren't really shy about segregating their pool or potentially limiting access for big winners, over raking them, things of that nature. There's a lot of activity within the online sphere where winners tend to be in some capacity tempered or potentially even banned. I'm interested, though, since you are still tapped in with others that were doing the similar kind of work, did they by chance notice any lessening from the side of collusion, RTA, or botting?
Not that I know.
No real reduction in volume or... I only ask because we don't know when bots get banned, right?
Of course.
So it's you could have got caught up in a sweep where maybe they banned 100 accounts and 98 of them were bots, and you and another guy basically might have got thrown into the wrong lump. But it doesn't sound like, from everybody who plays there, it doesn't sound like that's the case.
No, because he got his money back, and they're probably not going to give the money back to the bots, right?
I don't know.
At least I hope
I don't see why they would.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about anything.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I mean that's just speculation.
Yeah. What maybe this is the wrong way of phrasing it, but what plan do you have moving forward now that this option is not available, especially in Australia, where I know that you guys are heavily limited?
Oh yeah. So we don't have any regulated online poker. So my only real options are Ignition, ACR. Macau's not that far.
Sure.
There's always live trips to Macau.
Yeah.
I'll play by ear. Getting my account back is something I'm kind of hopeful for. Because if this was just gross incompetence, then that can easily be reversed. But I'm playing by ear, living that mid-20s retiree life over the last couple months.
Well, unfortunately, it seems like they won't even talk to you with that last line in the email where it says, if you reach out to us, this is what we will tell you.
Yeah. That was pretty brutal. So I'm hoping that the Patrick Howard podcast and this, at least, someone who can think a little bit more, can help me out. I would enjoy my account back.
Sure.
I won't lie. I'll help deal with your bot problem, guys. Just
I just wonder if they even see it as a problem. It feels to me so much that especially sites like this where they have a casino attached, it feels very similar to live, where poker is a second-class citizen and only meant to be a funnel towards the blackjack table or whatever the case may be. I just have my own personal concerns. Obviously, I'm in a very privileged position where I don't need to survive online, so it's easy for me to say, this is all corrupt, kind of stay away. But yeah, man, my heart bleeds for you because I was very lucky at your age to just have the softest industry in the world at my fingertips, ready and available. You know, the biggest stakes anytime you could get a hold of money, or just a drive to the casino away. And I had 3 major operators online that, sure, they were Ponzi schemes, but you know, the games were there and they were soft. So if you were lucky enough to get your money out or eventually get it back from Stars when they saved us, all was well in the world. I don't know how anybody your age makes it now. Like, we're out here. Like, when
they're fighting bots, that's how they make it.
Seriously, like, when Russ Hamilton, when that scandal happened at Absolute, it was the biggest thing to ever hit the internet side of poker, right? Because it was very segregated back then. Internet and live were 2 totally different worlds that did not intersect. And when the Russ Hamilton thing happened, and Gaucho, as well as a few others, were able to detect that, it was monumental. Like, man, how sharp is this industry that they're able? Now, all of a sudden, like, we're just downplaying it. I mean, this kid's out here battling against actual fucking bots on the daily, figuring out ways to counteract them because there's still win rate available because this guy isn't a super user. You know what I mean? And it's like, we just shrug it off as like, these are the times we live in. Like, if you want to play poker professionally online, this is the life you're going to have to live.
Yep. Sure.
Well, it's not the life you get to live because they're going to ban you.
That's also very fair.
Down bad.
That's also very fair.
You don't get to live any life.
By the way, if you're good at it, fuck you.
Yeah.
You're out.
Matt wore his heart shirt just for this,
That's
just to bleed for you.
I'm a bleeding heart for you right now, Peter.
It's a very strong.
Anything else that we can do to help this? Would be happy to. Any parting words you might have? Floor's yours.
No, I mean, like, this is more help than I expected. You know, like, when I first got banned, I was like, well, this is a bit strange, but I didn't think it might, like, I didn't know if it was actually something people might want to know about. I assumed the reception I'd get was just like, well, you probably just RTA'd.
Right.
So yeah, no, I appreciate the support. I guess if you are a lone wolf grinder on Ignition, I would not use my situation or my good 2 months as encouragement. I was only able to do this because I got extremely lucky with the people I'm associated with, that I had the information available to do this. And I also just got in at a very good time. The bots, the exploitability of the bots is likely just a short-term thing. Eventually, they may just not be exploitable anymore, and at that point, Ignition is just dead. But if you don't have the data to do this kind of work and to see, you know, what the bots are doing or anything like that, there is no way you can beat them. They are designed to beat the average reg.
Right.
Everything they do is designed to beat the average player. And they are very good at it. So if you are just kind of lone wolfing it, just hoping that, you know, you'll like, you can do this, you know, I mean, it's a computer. I just withdraw, man. Just find another site. Just like, or, you know, go do something else. If Ignition's the only like site you have, but if you're outside of a CFP, there's just no, I just don't think it's possible.
Yeah, I'd echo that sentiment. Thank you for waking up early and sharing your story. We appreciate it. We'll continue to beat the drum on the Ignition warnings as well as others. I hope you get your account back, and if you don't, I hope to see you in Vegas at some point.
Yeah, sounds good.
Be sure to say hi if you make it.
Yeah. Cheers.
Thanks,
All right,
Peter.
take it easy, Peter.
Thanks.
Bye.
Man, it's hard not to be disheartening.
Yeah.
But like on the other hand, it's kind of I don't want to say it's kind of cool, but like it's wild to think the skill and
Research.
yeah, I was gonna say teamwork, but your term is better because it's still individualized when you're on the felt, right? But like away from the felt, there's so much research being poured into these games, these tendencies, these trends, all this other stuff. And it's like, it doesn't just stop with neutralizing bots. I mean, we've just never had more fucking data available than now. And we've never had better analysts than we have now. And I think that like, this really comes back to, you know, full circle, that conversation that we continually have, the difference between the online world and the live world, the theoretical realm versus the practical one. There's such a hard divide based off of known information versus undisclosed information. And that still remains the beauty of live poker. No matter what, it is slow. You'll never get a sample. You'll never fully be able to be in any capacity clairvoyant.
You won't play the same spot twice.
Almost impossible in a lifetime, right? Almost impossible in a lifetime. And for that reason alone, like there will always be a Jesse Lonis type, a Danny Sepiol type, people that are just able to like navigate in between the theory and the psychology to carve out a ton of win rate where you have good fundamentals, but you also are just very in tune to the environment around you and what's going on, how to make money. And that's really all this boils down to.
And they won't ban you if you win.
Right. And like, that's really all this boils down to on both sides. It's all about how you make money. How you make money online is just worlds different than how you make money live. Same holds true in every other facet in this space. How you learn the game, how you study the game, you know, how you train, how you practically execute, the strategies you develop, all of these things, worlds apart. They're just driven from a totally different why, right? Live, you're trying to undisclose or you're trying to discover, I guess, that undisclosed information that your opponents are protecting. Online, you're literally looking at data sets telling you what the undisclosed information is, and now you're just trying to identify which profiles it aligns to. That's different.
And then when you do it correctly, you get banned.
The bans are coming.
Yeah.
Honestly, no, that's not even a good suggestion. But I was gonna say, if the trend continues to be that professionals and winning players just keep getting pushed further and further and further out in the online environment to where they're all but shunned,
Games are gonna be good.
Short term.
Time to open up your account.
But for the games to be good, they'll also be unbeatable. Right? Like that's what makes games on the surface appear to be good. Is that variance is actually just choosing the winners, and you know everybody's just losing to the rake at the end of the day.
I'm just thinking that's the answer, right? Is online sites try to make guarantees and numbers just enough for it to overlay to make the regs pay.
Right.
And they're losing, but they're winning small because of overlay, but the variance is so high that you never really get to realize it unless you're the lucky one.
Yeah, I mean, I think about like different variants of like stand-up. You can just keep adding different things to up the variance, right? You can add the 7 deuce, you can add progressive, you can add a cap to the bottom, all these things you can continually add. And with every layer that you add, the variance gets higher and higher and higher. Well, the higher the variance gets, assuming that you know, you basically get to a point of just playing all in pots routinely, there isn't a whole lot of skill edge left because nobody gets denied their realization. There's only so many errors you can really make when there's a ton of overlay on the pot. And it kind of works in the same way online. If rake just gets so high and games, you know, get policed in such a way, Pip.
The light fell and
I know.
It attacked her.
It bit her. Eventually, like the variance just gets so high that they basically try to create a zero EV environment, a true zero EV environment where rake is just pulling very, very, very slowly.
Yeah, I mean,
that's a big win for the sites.
If there was a game that everybody played where everybody was just all in pre,
they're trying to turn the poker into the casino side, right? Because that's all they do on the casino side. It's just like they just take their
create a small negative edge.
Yeah, they get their percentage, and everybody else just gives it slowly away.
It don't look good, cuz.
Sometimes they win in the slots. Check out Kessler. But that's live.
Even when they win, they tax the shit out of you.
Yep.
They say,
tax you twice.
We weren't actually going to pay that, bro.
Right. Yeah. Well, we'll give you.
You thought this jackpot number was real?
We didn't really think that was going to hit.
How about we give you 30%?
When Tom won the Pagao jackpot, that wasn't paid annuity-wise, right? He just got the lump sum.
I believe so.
I think so, yeah.
I believe so.
So there's probably different stipulations for different
I'm sure
properties.
slots are just probably...
This is also an Indian casino where it happened.
That's true, but additionally, like slots are third-party, usually, right? Like it's a third-party developer, so I'm
like
sure
Buffalo, whoever owns Buffalo owns
I
that.
imagine they're also in charge. Yeah, I'm sure that they either get some sort of licensing fee or... Who knows? Just follow the money and you'll know that there's...
Just stay out of the pit.
Stay out of the pits.
Buffaloes are going to pay Alan Kessler $1 million?
What?
Where'd the Buffaloes get that money from?
The Buffalo Soldiers, obviously.
Yeah, no. I mean, Buffalo Wild Wings.
Soldiers.
Yeah. They do have a
Buffalo
very,
Wild
very
Wings.
good sports bar.
Yeah.
Right.
Buffaloes are killing it.
They are.
Got to invest in Buffaloes.
Got to go for
Josh Allen has to pay him.
Okay, this conversation has me in the muck. Let's get to it.
This is the tournament hand, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
1 second.
Yeah, I know. Of course I know it. As soon as it comes up on the screen.
Who's on the meds, Brian or me?
No, I think I put this in the chat, last week. So.
Yeah, we had a busy week.
That's right. Yeah.
We're replaying the graphic.
Right. Exactly.
You lay off Guapo, okay? He's busy feeding.
Okay, they come from a $400 tournament. I believe they're pretty early in the event. It comes from a user submission from G Money 34.
Is this Griffin? Is this my brother?
It could be. Is he G Money?
I'm so tilted that they're playing 100 300 instead of 200 300.
Yeah, well, that's just the way it is. Okay, so he's under the gun, 7? Is that what that is, Landon? He has ace queen of spades, and he makes it 900, and it folds to the big blind, who defends, and we get a flop of ace of diamonds, 5 of diamonds, deuce of clubs.
Yum, yum.
Check to us. We go ahead and bet about third pot, 700 into 2200. Get raised to 2700. We call. The turn is the 8 of hearts. We get led into pretty big, 5200 into 76. We decide to call. And the river is the queen of diamonds, completing the flush, but giving us top 2 pair. And now it's check to us.
Oh.
And we decide to bet 7,600 into 1,800, so kind of small. And we get called. And we are shown the
2-4 of hearts.
Yeah, the 2-4 of hearts.
No, what are you talking about? 2-4 of diamonds.
Oh.
Or whatever. Yeah.
Was it a flush?
We lose to a flush?
We lose to a flush.
You know what? I think maybe the graphic's wrong and it was supposed to be a 3 out there. I think it might have been, I think it was supposed to be a 3.
As in he flopped it?
As in he flopped the straight, yeah. That's what happened. He flopped the straight.
Okay, that would make a hell of a lot more sense.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Let's talk about this one. I'm going back to the actual post. Villain had 2-4 of hearts, is what Brian said.
Yeah.
So yeah, the graphics must have been wrong. He must have flopped the straight.
So 2-4 of hearts would be a flush, so he doesn't have to.
Diamonds are flushes.
Sure wouldn't.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it's supposed to be a 3 of clubs.
Right. So he did not flop a pair and a gut shot. Instead, he just flopped the nuts.
So he flopped a straight, and then a flush got there in the river, and then he check called.
Yeah.
Right.
That's what happened.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think everything's fine outside of river.
Yeah, well, that was where he, G Money said where he was in the muck because he didn't know if it was too thin to go for value here.
Well, that's clear that that's his question because of the sides that he chose.
Right, exactly.
So on the river, he lands in a situation where the SPR is like 1.25, give or take 1.2, 1.25. And he has a hand that he wants to value bet, but a straight already existed and a flush is now completed.
Mm-hmm.
And he obviously has some apprehension behind betting his hand for value. The real question becomes like, what calls, right?
Exactly.
So basically you needed to believe that you improved against a range of hands that were already beating you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Some
like
other
the
ace ups.
five.
Yeah.
So it's only ace five and ace deuce.
I mean,
Right.
there's real combos, right? 5 deuce suited.
Yeah, perhaps.
Ace 8 off.
I don't think ace eight off
Well,
takes
check-
ace
I
check.
thought it
raise.
doesn't check raise
I don't think it's
flop.
raising on the flop though.
Right.
Ace deuce, 5 deuce.
Yeah, ace deuce, five deuce,
All the
ace
2 pair
five.
combos.
Right, but there aren't a lot of them.
No.
And what's clear to me, I guess, is that
A set of fives and deuces too, right?
yes, yeah, we obviously lose to those.
I would think those
What's
are-
unclear to me is what checks.
Yeah,
What
that's
is
the
clear
problem.
to me is that give ups aren't a part of that range.
Mm-hmm.
So he probably is pretty showdown dense when checking. This is both an argument for value betting and also one maybe against. Because I just would never choose this size, I don't think. I don't think reopening the action for 40% is very ideal.
Yeah, I go
Mhm.
a bit bigger, like 67.
Yeah, I think you either want to go like 2/3 pot or all in.
Right.
This hand does not qualify for all in, obviously.
Yeah, therein lies the problem, right? You want to go small so you can get like the worst 2 pairs to call you, but yet going small is not ideal. So
I mean, exploitatively, it's fine. If you're just going to fold to a jam and you're just simply targeting worst 2 pairs, it's fine. But like anybody who's like decent will be able to see through this and kind of say like, okay, that's never a flush that bets this size, but it's always a better hand than my 5 deuce
right.
kind of thing. So they'll either not pay or they'll bluff jam,
Right.
both of which are better results for the out of position player. I mean, I think like, I think out of position is a little bit in the muck here too. His hand is worth a bet on the end.
Or a bigger turn bet as well.
Yeah.
Probably bigger flop raise.
Yeah. I mean, you just want to try to be all in prior, I guess.
Non-river.
Well,
but
you want to try to set up all in at least.
yeah.
I mean, he landed on like 1 SPR. It's kind of okay. But I think his hand's worth a block on the end at bare minimum. But again, maybe check exists. I could see there being like it's a reasonable idea where you have checks. The problem is that like it's tough to take this line with your flush draws and then check on the end. So now this checking range is just like a little bit devoid of flushes, which isn't great because ace queen could viably check back, knowing that like now this checking range is mostly sets and straights. Some worse 2 pairs, sure. But like ace king for sure checks back, where like ace king with a diamond might do something else if bet into.
There's not that many straights, right? Because the offsuit combos are folding pre versus 3x.
Probably.
So you
Yeah.
have like 4. They have like 4 combos of straights. But I do think river bet is good. I think the size is a little bit too small. I just think that
I think in live poker the river bet's too thin.
it was. I think it's played fine.
Yeah, I think in live poker the river bet's just like way too thin. I don't think that you get called by worst very often.
Stuff ace 5, ace deuce, 5 deuce, maybe like ace jack sometimes with a diamond.
Get out of here, man.
That's
Just get the fuck out. Like,
I'm
yes,
with
in
Berkey.
theory land, sure. Like, I
I
think.
mean, like you never know if someone's gonna like look at ace jack or like ace king that doesn't do bet pre.
Come on, man.
What do you mean?
Come on. I
Wait,
think
They're
that this-
100 deep. That's like not the most unreasonable thing in the world to flat pre with big blind with ace king.
Okay, in live it's unreasonable, and also I just like we literally run a bit of just pay because people check fold 5 deuce here too much, or ace deuce too much, or ace 5 too much, or whatever. It's just like it's very scary. The flush completes and you still face bet. Like,
Do we think out of position maybe missed a bet here on the end?
I think it's close. I think his hand's
Because
probably
what flush
worse.
is he showing up with after he bets? What did he bet on the turn?
50.
Like if you're looking at king jack of diamonds here, like
What?
I don't know.
What else would you do? You would call.
You can't fold.
You want to fold?
You can't fold king
I
jack
mean,
of
his
diamond.
bet size is pretty big.
It's actually too small, but anyway.
It's his turn size is too
Yeah,
small.
yeah. Sure.
Should be
You want-
GO2.
You want a 2E?
Should go like pot.
because he raised on the flop.
Well, he should have raised bigger on the flop, and then the turn size would have been a little bit smaller, and then the river size would have been roughly like SPR 80%.
Guapo folds too much equity.
And then you can probably just jam the straight, because like if he has a flush, he has a flush.
So his turn size here should have been 2E.
I think so, yeah. Because his range is very polar. He's repping 2 pair plus. and then his bluffs are going to have some equity as well.
And that's like a very good card for him.
It's good in the sense that it doesn't help
That's what
in
I'm
position
saying.
very much.
Yeah. Like you.
So
like,
let's assume he
the
does
best hand
use,
is still the best hand.
Let's assume he does use the 2E size on the turn. Do we still like calling with king jack of diamonds?
Of course, you're drawing to the nuts.
You can't fold hands that draw to the nuts and can bluff later.
Yeah, I
Like sometimes he checks and you get to like be all in and
you're also
win.
just dominating a big chunk of his bluffing range. Like he just has 6, 7 of diamonds. He has 4, 10 of diamonds.
Sure. You're trying to see about to say 4 deuce, and I was like,
I did. I caught myself.
honestly though, the worst
but
the
like
worst
even
hand,
against that, we have a lot of equity.
yeah, but that would be like a reasonable like real combo, I think, like pair plus diamonds,
Yeah, of
where
course,
like
of
that's
course.
kind of one that people would probably find, and then like the gut shot combo draws that we do well against, like 10-4, 10-3,
Yeah.
or whatever the non-wheel. Yeah, I mean, I think river bet's fine. I don't think it's like the end of the world.
I think
it's just
everything
unlucky.
you're saying is in theory is correct. I think in practice, river is probably going to be too thin.
It's hard for it to be bad. It's
No, it's not.
It's really hard for it
If
to be
it
bad.
mixes in theory, I can promise you it's bad in practice. I wholeheartedly stand by that. In general, if things mix in theory, doing something pure in practice is probably going to be good or bad depending which pure action you take.
I think the issue is it just depends on how much the out of position player check raises the worst value hands and ours on the river, like ace 5 and 5 deuce. Like these won't always check raise, I imagine. But if someone's always check raising 2 pair because they have 2 pair, then it becomes good. But if they don't always raise 2 pair, then it becomes really bad.
Well, let's see what the wizard has to say.
Go to the wizard.
The wizard will tell us all.
Flops probably be bigger C bet, right?
I imagine it's going to split.
It's like
Nope, it range bets for quarter.
quarter?
Yeah.
That's interesting. Range bet.
I mean, it bets every hand in range. It's
It's almost
73% of hands. You could simplify pretty easily. Okay, so quarter's fine. Check raise size is larger, like Landon said. It looks like it's going to be 3E, which is 90% pot.
Would it matter if you change that deuce to a 3?
Oh, good point. Because in fact,
It was 3 clubs.
3.
I mean, it's probably going to afford us larger size on the flop now
What's the
because
difference?
fewer straights.
Oh, they have 3-4 off? No, they don't.
Do they?
No,
Oh,
doesn't change much.
no. Okay, just 5-3 off. Well, yeah, it still changes the 5-3, I guess. So we just bet less often now. Now there's a lot of hands that like nearly pure check, like king queen suited. Okay, so quarter's still a thing.
Deep press pure.
Still 3E check raise size. What size did he actually use in game?
Smallish.
Yeah, I know that.
I mean, I don't know. He went like 2,700 over 700.
Where are
or
we at on the
something.
turn?
I think like almost like 4x.
Flop.
Let's see, 7 to 27. So yeah, we'll call it 4x.
Gotta get some elevator music.
It's
when it
funny
loads.
because in game, this player probably thought that was a very large check raise size.
Yeah, I mean, this
But
is
like, I don't
just
think
live
you
poker.
understand what you're targeting when you check raise. So you can see it's actually half the size it was supposed to be.
Yeah.
When you're check raising here, like you're not trying to get queens to like float or anything along those lines. You know what I mean? Like it's established to target ace X and diamond draws.
Issue to a degree now, like when you look at the ace 5, 5 deuce, ace 5, it's not betting as much as it used to because the small size doesn't do much for the out of position player. Where now the in position player is easy peels. Like the bigger
Right.
check raise size lets you raise it more because you get more value,
Yeah,
but the small size lets them float, so you have to play more defensive and play more check call.
yeah, that's fair.
The importance of raising big size.
All right, so turn. I think Landon's gonna be right. It's just gonna be 2E.
Big bet.
Yep, pure 2E.
Boom.
So 117%.
Yeah.
But he chooses the 75% instead.
Yeah.
So we'll eliminate the large size, see how we are meant to react. I imagine our hand's still just pure calls.
King Jack of Diamonds, though.
King Jack of Diamonds is in. I'm very confident King Jack of Diamonds is in. Let's see. Ace Queen suited
Be
pure.
great if it was.
Let's look at King Jack of Diamonds. Oh, look at that. Oh,
It
man.
wins 8 big blinds.
It's crushing. All the king high flush draws, they're just in.
Guapo, don't fold these at 1-2 online, please.
Queen 9 of diamonds.
I mean,
is in.
stop folding them at one.
Nah, he ain't doing that, bro.
If you've seen some of the hands.
That's the thing. In Guapo's
I say
defense,
these things, but I'm in the mix.
I
boys.
know. In Guapo's defense, like he's probably playing a game where people are like severely under bluffing, which like
I'm trying to find a diamond draw that folds and I can't. So
because
It doesn't exist.
they're just in.
the
Bro.
limit does not exist.
It's a really big bet.
I tried Guapo. I tried to help you out here.
75% pot is not what it used to be.
Right.
Inflation and shit.
That's a big bet on the. I mean, it's kind of a big bet on the flop. But like once you start getting to turn and
I don't
river,
even bat an eye at 75% anymore. If it's not 3x pot, I'm not interested.
Queen of diamonds.
Queen of diamonds. I still feel like we're gonna see a lot of betting here out of
Block and
position.
jam, yeah.
No, not block.
No.
100% or jam.
Oh wow.
Full pot or jam.
Oh, your range is two pair.
So yeah, 4 deuce is nearly a pure jam. 4 deuce of hearts bets like 5% of the time full pot instead.
If they got it, they got it. Well, what's the difference between pot and? Oh, right, because it's the small size on the turn. So
yeah.
Jam is what? How much?
172.
Got it.
So yeah, I mean, like when we face check now, ace queen is obviously going to be a theory bet because this hand is devoid of good hands.
Yeah.
Well, look at the ace 5 that they have, right?
Okay, so I was right. Ace queen mixes, and I was right on the sizing too. It's either pot or all in. I just think that I think this is too thin in practice. I think people are going to fuck up that check range. They're going to have way too much value in this checking range,
But like what?
sets. So like
Deuce 4 like he actually had?
Fives are a pure bet. 4 deuce is a pure bet. What else? Threes. Nearly a pure bet, right? I think all these hands in practice check way too much.
Scary card, check.
Right, and it's just like it's not now balanced by the amount of ace 5 and 5 deuce that they have.
Well,
5 deuce pure bet.
the theory.
You know what I mean?
The theory range mixed the ace 5 on flop, where it's probably pure from this guy.
Yeah, and it pure called ace 3, but again, it's because of the sizing they chose. So like, sure, we could go back and.
I just feel like it's close, and like maybe check might be a little bit better, but I don't think it's like a huge error.
I know where you're coming from. I just think live you're. And don't take this the wrong way. I just think like live you're just wrong, right? Like it's just true because the way like I learned this when I started to learn heads up. I thought I went thin for value until I started to learn heads up and like really started to understand what thin value represented. Mm-hmm. And it's about betting hands that it's not about the absolute raw showdown value of your hand. It's about the absolute value of your hand by comparison to the range of hands that call, right? So...
Well, yeah, we're just arguing how much worse is there versus better. Because there's not that many combos of sets versus the ace 5 offs and the ace 3 offs and stuff like this. Is that valid?
No, I don't think so, because sets are for sure pure getting to this node, but we have no idea the frequency they check. I would argue they always check. I would argue that they literally always check and don't always call a jam. But... theory would have it that checking range is mostly devoid of sets. So it's like one of us just has to be right about our assumptions. And I feel confident. You also feel confident. But the whole point I'm arriving at is that what I learned in studying heads up is what I think the young players in today's population struggle with live. And it's the fact that they can't get on the level of the non-studied player. The non-studied player does not have the framework to operate from where they think about what's the worst hand that can bet for value by comparison to the range of hands that can call. They only see the binary node that they're in, which is flush complete, flush good hand, I don't have flush, check.
Yeah.
And then face bet, and now it becomes like never beat value, how often can he be bluffing here, right? And the larger the size, the more often they hero fold. And I know this is true because...
I can't bet a straight here because what happens if he raises me?
Exactly.
You hear that? No, like I heard that like
also
nonstop, like all summer.
Also,
right?
not even
Yeah.
recognizing that the bet you would choose would just be jam anyway, right? I can't jam a straight here because you can never call with worse than a flush.
Right.
And that's the way live poker is played because that's actually probably pretty true. If he jammed a straight there, ace queen probably hits the muck.
It's true.
Right.
It's not true to Landon.
It
No,
depends.
it's not
It depends
just-
on. It depends on the player.
We can agree to
It depends
disagree.
on the
It's
player.
not all the time.
It's-
It's not all the time. but yeah.
The player dependency thing is such a cop out because it's such an outlier of it depending on the player. There's maybe 1 in 100 guys that I would call a jam on the Riververse there with top 2.
I'm saying there's
Yeah.
guys that just make very, very loose calls and guys that make very, very tight calls.
And I'm saying that those guys represent the outlier of the pools. Like the average person you sit down and play poker with, if they take a check raise, bet, jam line on a flush complete, I'm almost certainly not calling with top 2. And if you are, it's almost certainly a torch, right? So
There's just never any bluffs.
Right.
live poker is the most honest form of poker you will ever play, and that's
Honesty
the biggest
is the
struggle.
best policy.
That's the biggest struggle with young,
Ace Queen's pretty honest.
with young, well-studied players. The biggest struggle that they have is the fact that the game is meant to be deceptive, and the players they're playing against are playing honestly. They're playing as face up as you believe them to be, and you personally take it to heart of like, this is spitting in the face of what the game is meant to be. So I'm just going to choose not to believe you.
Because if that's the case, you should just take 5-4 off with a diamond and check raise, barrel it off every time. But they won't do that, so it doesn't matter.
Right.
I'm agreeing with you.
Right, because the reason why that doesn't
Before
work.
you wanted to argue at me.
No. But the reason why it's not that simple is because the second that you do that, you become an outlier to the collective, and the outliers are very easy to identify. I'm very easy to identify in a game. I'm clearly an outlier. I clearly have more than just a flush when I jam that river after taking a check raise bet line.
I think this is like part of it's just part of the general strategy that people probably take to guys that they think are studied, is they think they're overdoing spots where they're probably just doing them appropriately.
Correctly. Right. They're overdoing it by comparison to the pool.
Right. It looks like over bluffing because nobody else bluffs.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What would you do that for? You could just get called and be out
all
of the
it
tournament.
all it does is give the pool the confidence to start calling a little bit closer to correctly. But I'm here to tell you, they're still drastically overfolding. It's
Unless
just,
you're the outlier. Then they'll
no,
fold.
even against the outlier.
Yeah, they don't fold ace queen to you.
No, but they're folding too many hands for sure, right? Like maybe, well, they're never folding a straight or a flush there, but like they will fold top 2 sometimes. They will fold like ace 5 there sometimes.
It depends if it's day 2 or not.
I mean, this is where it's actually player dependent because the reaction to somebody like me is purely emotional. It's purely, it's purely driven by where their current state of mind is. There are times where I've seen Oaken fold top set to me, and I've seen him call me with jack high, right? And those two decisions are not being driven by different board textures or line work. You know, that might be a small impetus behind it, but it's mostly driven by state of mind. Has he been winning or losing? Like, where is his current or what's his current perception of me? Because it changes literally fucking daily. I'm not kidding. I use him as a barometer.
And what does that inner monologue sound like?
Why isn't he on the pod? We need him here.
It's too dangerous.
Oh,
he just
God.
got married. Congratulations, Oaken.
Congrats.
But I use him as a barometer. But the truth is that like he represents the general pool, and my job is truly to get in the heads of like where they're at emotionally, and then imbalance myself correctly. Right? Oh, this guy is like out of his mind, tilted, and looking to make hero plays. Now I need to figure out, are those hero plays folds or calls, right? Because people gravitate differently. Some people tilt in a tight way, others tilt in like a very loose way. And it's like the second that you're able to identify that, and now it just becomes your job to play the game of chicken. Of like, okay, well, I'm going to hard exploit towards the fact that I think he's going to tilt towards too many folds. I'm going to hard exploit towards the fact that I think he's going to play way too loose and call down way too often, right? So it's like now I'm shifting my ranges drastically in one direction or the other between bluff and value. And the best part about it is when you're playing with the same guys consistently, they'll think about a hand from a time where it was very clear that you were imbalanced a certain way, right? And then they'll build this narrative that that's always true, not recognizing that that was a moment in time that was true for that moment in time, and there were a bunch of variables that led to that moment in time. And then a week later, they'll just be like, this guy's fucking god at poker. Like, I can't beat him, right? And it's because they're operating off of this narrative, but you're in a different one, right? And then something switches where they start running a little bit better in spots and they'll start calling you down more often in situations they were folding before, and they're like, this guy fucking sucks. Right? And that's just live poker in a nutshell.
Yeah.
It's the beauty of the game that we get to play.
I just want to play a game. Can you, for my sake?
Yes.
And please prove me wrong, right? Can we just go to the machine and just lock the 2 pairs to pure check raise?
Sure.
And then on the end, just make the sets check.
I will happily do that for your
I just want to see it.
for your little
I just want to see it.
analytical pea brain.
I just
Wait,
wanna
what do
see
you want me
it.
to? You want me to lock the check raise?
Lock ace, like all the 2 pair combos, the check raise flop, and bet
The
the
wizard
turn.
does not want to cooperate.
Well, give it some time.
It's keeping up with pot odds. Something we apparently need to teach Guapo.
Wait, don't lock flop struck.
Always comes back to
I
me.
know.
It's like we taught you
Don't
nothing,
feed my
brother.
dog chicken.
Guapo was trying to
No, I'm saying so. Go to the out of position range,
Oh, I
facing
thought I
the
did.
bet.
I thought I did.
Yeah, that's why it's counting the pot
I'm
odds
too busy running fool's errands
and follies.
and follies.
Oh, sorry.
Just check bet. Yeah, now just lock the 2 pairs to always check raise, and then bet the turn. So like the range now is going to be nice. I liked how you did that. You're getting better with the wizard.
Thank you.
You're
Thank
finding
you,
the 2 pairs, and you're not going to all of them. It's all coming together.
Okay. So now we're hunting high equity plays and developing disciplined folds.
It's just like
It's like it's talking to you, Landon.
I developed many disciplined folds over the summer. Don't talk to me like that.
Don't talk to me like that, devil woman. All right.
Devil woman.
Call. Turn 8 of hearts.
Now make them all barrel the turn.
Got to make them all bet.
For
Got to
the-
catch them all.
The size.
Are we doing the 2E size or the
No,
size he
God,
chose?
no. The size he chose.
Okay.
If it was a 2E size, it'd be a different question.
Here we
We're
go.
playing Fantasy Land. It's probably gonna mix the turn.
Igniting implied odds.
It's igniting chips on the river if you bet ace queen, apparently. Yeah, see, it's mixing checks again with the 2 pair. We can't have that.
Of course it is.
Well, this is
It has a checking range. It has to check some good hands.
Yeah.
Like, we know this.
it should, but it doesn't mean it does in the real world.
We're going to break the machine.
We're not looking at the real world. We're looking at your goddamn machine.
Yeah, well, the machine's
You want the machine. The machine's going to balance your fucking ranges for you.
no, the machine's gonna go in the real world and bet 75 on a turn that's supposed to be pot and
quarter.
pot and change.
And change. I can't believe we're wasting an extra 5 to 8 minutes
I just want to see it.
of podcast time just for Landon to get some sort of weird win that I still am not confident is going to show up.
I'm not confident I'm gonna win. I just want to play the
So
game.
you think after doing this, then it's going to be a pure?
No, I'm not sure what it's gonna be.
Okay, I'm still pretty sure.
Okay, then I knew that.
What do you
So-
think is
I know.
going to happen?
I don't know. I'm very excited to find out.
I still have a pretty high degree of confidence that Ace Queen will mix.
Have you ever not had a high degree of confidence in anything?
Yes. Yes, plenty. You know what? You know what happens when I don't have a high degree of confidence in something? I don't talk.
Now, we'll
I just keep my fucking mouth shut.
Yeah. And how often does that happen? How often does that ever happen?
now lock the turn for the 2 pairs. Dun, dun, dun. Get the elevator. See, this is a great time for elevator music. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, dun. It's like the family. Dun, dun,
Should I be
dun.
locking straights as well?
Dun, dun, dun,
Feels like I should lock
dun,
straights as well.
Dun, dun, dun. Yeah, I think that's a good idea. Dun, dun. And then you can check them all on the river, because except for the deuce 4 of diamonds, that probably wants to bet. What do you think you do with a small flush? Do you think they check?
I think flush is just probably bet.
I think
But
so too.
honestly, like,
They can get called by a set. That's a good thing.
yeah, people do some dumb shit though. I don't know. I would think all. Here's the problem: is I think all flushes would bet, but I don't think they recognize they're supposed to be all in.
To the block. Or bet 67 or some hedge.
Yeah, half pot, some like bullshitty
half their
size.
stack.
Well, hey, you got the block back,
Yeah.
so like
Yeah.
now checking doesn't exist at all.
That's because their range is so good.
No, it's because all the hands that you want me to force in there now are.
all of the reasonable hands of like 2 pair.
Well, no. I'm just saying like it doesn't want to check them, but we expect them to check them.
Yeah,
is my point.
I'm saying you should lock them to check now.
Yeah, I'm just gonna eliminate the all in and see what happens. Or sorry, the quarter pot and see what happens. Then they all check now. There you go.
Good. Now you can click the imposition response.
Are
and you
there
can
any
see.
that don't check?
Dun, dun, dun. Oh, the pocket 5s you have to make check. 5s is still going to be all in.
All right.
I'm helping your case.
I'll tell you what. I'll give you. Yeah, that's fine. That is fine. Check. 100.
Dun, dun, dun.
That's.
I think it's a very valuable lesson here.
Is there?
For who?
For me, or maybe him.
Actually, I take it back. Well, I still think it'll mix, but I think it'll reduce sizing now.
Yeah, you just go like 67.
We'll have like his weird size.
I think it's possible.
Nope.
Nope, you check.
PR.
Well, look at ace queen. Yeah.
Now it's pure check.
Pure check.
Double, look at the ace queen. There's a little sliver over there. Go. But no, you're right. Like the point is, you're right. Like it's valid.
The point is, you're right.
Are you happy?
No, no.
Yeah, he's happy.
No.
He has
so
to
happy
be.
right
Look how
now.
happy he is.
cannot
No,
be
I'm
happy.
really
I
not.
didn't do that to challenge
You're not
you.
mad.
I know you didn't. I know why you did it.
Are you mad that he wasted your time?
Yes. Well, no, that's not
Oh
fair.
no,
That's not fair.
peer-reviewed content.
No, that's not fair to Landon. I'm not mad for that reason.
All right.
I'm mad because I don't think that this demonstrates what we're trying to say.
Why not?
Because it has less to do with the range of hands that check and more to do with the range of hands that call. The reason why ace queen becomes way too thin here is because the out of position player reacts poorly, which is why he chose this size.
Well, I just think that if they're checking their hands, like the two pairs and the sets, they're not checking to fold them.
They are.
Unless they get jammed on.
No, but they are. That's not to the small size. Of course, versus B40.
It's just like the classic. I've just seen it too many times. If you got to flush, you got to flush.
Versus B40, sure, they're going to pay a little bit more often. But if he chooses a reasonable size and position, like somewhere closer to pot, what I think happens is they construct their checking range in a way that's now a lot stronger. So now the two pairs in sets don't represent the near top of range any longer. They represent the near bottom.
It's the bottom of a call.
No.
The sets and two pair?
No. It's just the bottom of the range. Because what gets here, their bluffs were all flush draws. They're all some sort of combo draws.
Yeah,
right?
there's no more bluffs anymore.
Correct. So what gets here on the end, there's no one pair hands. What gets here on the end is two pair plus, period. So now sets and two pairs get allocated into the bottom of their range. Straights and flushes get allocated into the top. So they make crying calls with straights versus like 3/4 pot. And then they just like, funeral their hand and call off with all whatever flushes they checked. They might only jam the nuts on the end.
Well, you're saying if their range on a river, because it's a diamond, turns into two pair plus by default, if they bet and you don't have a hand that beats some form of two pair, you should probably just find a fold.
Yeah, I think so.
You know what I mean?
I think so because like the reason you were calling flop and turn is because you beat their combo draws.
Yeah.
And then they came through and you faced a bet anyway.
Like if the river's an offsuit queen and they bet, you still have to call because they can have some bluffs
that
sometimes.
you're super happy to call against.
I mean, you're not happy apparently because their range is two pair plus.
Yeah.
But they still might bet the two pair.
But they
on the
still have
end.
bluffs. It's two pair plus bluffs.
Plus zero equity bluffs now.
Yes, correct.
They have nothing.
Correct. Right,
The
correct.
flush draw didn't get there. Yeah, this is the issue, right? Because like you play, call it higher stakes or like mid stakes online plus, you'll see like the hands that allow the opponent out of position to have bluffs on rivers like this, like the pair plus a diamond,
Mhm.
like the two high cards that have some good interaction, and then like the some offsuit combos. But now it's really bad for the in-position player to play calls and like bluff catch when all the bluffs now improve.
Yeah, and this dawns on me every time we do in the muck, and
The trepidation is valid.
it both invigorates me and also disheartens me to know that like the language being spoken is so far apart between theory and practice that I become more and more discouraged every day that it's possible to bridge the two. Because like what it took for us to land on an understanding here wasn't just 20 minutes of back and forth, but it was also 20 minutes of back and forth with an already deep understanding of both by both Landon and I.
Yeah,
Right?
well, I mean, when it comes to something like that, it's not hard to look at similar spots in the future and come to the same conclusion.
Right. But what I'm saying is the prerequisites for you and I to even arrive at a compromise within 20 minutes of analyzing already comes with us both having like a breadth of knowledge for both theory and practice, how it moves, how it functions, and things that we can defer back to. If you're taking like a reasonable beginner who has like 1,000 hours of live play under his belt, or vice versa, 1,000 hours of online play, and no experience with the alternative, and you like try to demonstrate to them or move them off a very fixed point that they're making, like maybe they think ace queen is like a clear value bet here, or it's just way too thin and there's no budging them. It's very difficult to communicate why either one is true, because I can show you in theory why it's a reasonable bet some of the time, and I can show you in theory why it's a reasonable check some of the time, but all it does is reaffirm whatever you already to believe to be true, right? There's no like principle to pull out of it unless you're really well versed already in the basic mechanics of theory, because what actually has to be conveyed here is that the out of position player is making an error in how he constructs his river range.
By only having value hands.
Correct. Well, and
it's value by nature because it's a queen.
Exactly.
of
Now we have to backtrack too. Not only is he making an error with how he constructs his river range, but he makes an error with how he constructs his check raising range, and then his follow through on a turn brick. All of these things funnel his range narrower and narrower and narrower, and when the texture changes, he's now left with something. And it's highly exploitative because it's going to be massively imbalanced and lacking a certain hand class.
I think in practice, or like you say this hand to someone that plays a lot of live or a reasonable amount of like small stakes online, like call it like left curve, right curve. Like left curve is like, they can still have hands that beat us. We can't bet this hand, it's too thin.
Mm-hmm.
And then like the other side of that, like the far right side is like, I've looked at this so much, like I've gone on the wizard and like played with some locks, that the only range that they do have is hands that beat us on the end. So you get to this point where you can see that, and like the middle guy is like, there's got to be an in between somewhere. Middle guy,
right.
For 20 minutes, right?
Right.
And like there's probably some.
Did you end up left curve or right curve after?
I'm a no curve man. But like the assumptions that you make are just going to be more experiential, like experiment driven, playing in the field than it is by like playing with the machine.
Yeah.
Like you'll see two pair here and off, right? You'll see sets that don't bet themselves by out of position. You'll see flushes that are like,
well, like here's the nuts and bolts of it. When you're studying theory, you're dealing with a general case where the opponent is a theoretical counterpart, right? It's a logical, rational actor. So you never have to deal with assumptions there. You just start with the premise
that they're playing really good.
Yeah, that you're playing a mirror of what it is that you're looking at, right?
A mirror that's better than you if you try to play them.
Right. And if you're looking at MDA, then you can lock specifically for the profile. Live, we have nothing but observational data. But good players have distilled that observational data down into maybe a dozen or so data points that we believe to be incredibly reliable. The problem is we have absolutely no proof of it other than our own personal experience. So that's where the argument comes in. When I say, I think that river check range is too tight and too weak at the same time for us to get value with ace queen, but not bluff a hand like ace four, right? That doesn't compute to a theoretical mind, because no point in studying theory will the opponent's range ever arrive at river with a range that's too tight and too weak.
Which is why in the theory range, without the call two pair lock or whatever, it still mixes a bet where like it's just on the borderline of getting value, and then being indifferent versus a jam if they somehow find that.
Right.
Where in
right, because like
practice-
that's the thing. When I look at the response to if we shove, ace five still calls half the time, right? But in practice, it probably never calls. The only reason it's calling half the time is to meet some level of MDF.
Yeah.
Right? It's reaching to call with this hand. It's basically saying like, well, there has to be some bluffs in that jam range and I can beat them. Right? But it beats no value. It puts itself in a tough spot. Pocket fives calls all the time.
It doesn't beat value because we don't value bet anything worse.
Exactly. Pocket fives is a pure call, but it doesn't beat value. Our worst value hand that we shove is aces. But because it unblocks ace four, it unblocks these other hands that we potentially bluff with, it's making money. Right? In theory.
Yeah.
But like when we start to get more practical with this, that's no longer the case. Meeting MDF in a situation where a range is heavily imbalanced one way or the other is the error.
Well, herein lies the issue of having too much value on the end and then checking. Is that instead of playing a block strategy, which allowed you to get value from ace queen and then figure it out versus a jam, you're now in this spot where they're probably going to have really good hands, and now you have to bluff catch a hand that was value.
Right.
Like you kind of switch it over.
Right.
Versus a range that's pretty hard to have bluffs in because now you turn top pair into a
the
bluff.
only correction that out of position can really make here to even come close to balancing himself is he just range checks. So now he has flushes that can at least like happy call off.
Which is hard to do for people in the one-off spot that they actually make a flush. And
When
I
they
think
were
that
bluffing, right.
the really good players and people either have experience with solves or not. Some people are better through experience, and some people call it like looking at the pretty pictures. Like you kind of can visualize the pretty pictures in your mind and then change them based off of the response that you think is going on. Where like because his range is too much value, it's like, oh, he blocks, that makes sense. He either blocks or jams. But in theory, that wouldn't happen, as we saw in the first example.
That's where the errors come from, I think, with the really well-studied players when they land themselves in a soft environment.
What's the EV difference?
You start projecting onto your opponents their ability to react well.
What's the difference between jam and check on the end, or bet and check for ace queen?
I mean, it's gonna be close because of jam some. Like 1. It's very small.
I mean, for jam for value, right? But like if you choose the small size to call it get value, you're just kind of you're kind of lighting a big blind and a half on fire.
Oh yeah, sorry, that's what I was looking.
That's if you go like for B60, whatever it is.
B40.
B40. Because like now, you're always getting snapped by the better value, and all the other value has found a different note.
Probably.
So,
but that's not very important.
No.
Yeah, I think that's where that's where the eye is taken off the ball. People forget to collect the free money. You start to projecting onto your opponent that like they have to mirror some semblance of balance if you take a certain line or whatever the case, and they don't. They just react with the exact 2 cards that they have, and wherever it ranks in.
They have what they have.
They have what they have, and it ranks where it ranks, right? So like every single hand is unique to most live players, and they're trying to solve the puzzle of this one unique hand in this particular spot. They will lean on past information. They'll lean on current information to try to better arrive at a result, but there is no cohesive strategy being played.
Do you think that there is a different line that imposition could take to take advantage of the fact that imposition's check raise range probably doesn't have that many bluffs and they're like more equity driven?
No.
Like you don't think 3-bet on flop is good, or
no? I think the way you win in this line is by checking back river and not losing any more money when you're beat.
Yeah.
But winning the pot every time you suck out.
Yeah, seems fair.
Matt, apologies if I missed this, but
Nope.
the recap for our submission on the river, machine wanted him to use a bigger size. Is that correct?
Sizing was incorrect. Yes, it was pot or all in, and his hand basically mixed between sometimes and never, depending on what range you give out of position. When we locked out of position, ace queen's basically a pure check.
Okay.
But if we give him a balance range on the end, then you can theoretically bet it for pot. If you guys would like to submit your own version of In the Muck, we'd be happy to go over it. Be sure to head to our Discord channel. You can hit hashtag Discord in the chat, or head over to @onlyfriends_pod. It's the pinned tweet. Just follow that link. We have an entire forum dedicated to In the Muck. The tortoise will be happy to come through and pick submissions. Don't forget to like, subscribe, leave a comment. Let us know what you thought about the Ignition botting situation. If you're going to be at the Venetian with us on Thursday, 6 p.m. for the meetup game, or if you would have value bet ace queen here on the end. Would love to hear your thoughts. We're going to be joined tomorrow by 2 more special guests. We're going to be going over the big game. So we're going to have Lily Newhouse in studio, as well as the one and only beloved Nikki Limo. She's going to be back for a very special ep where we're going to go over her entire season and whatever is out so far for Lily's season. Be sure to tune into that one. It will be great.
And I'll see you guys in...
Lamanna's gone.
I'm gone. 8 days. I'm back to the Midwest.
Going to Yinzerpalooza.
I wish Yinzerpalooza was a couple weeks ago, but I think it's always Yinzerpalooza in Pittsburgh. We're going to check out a couple Pucko games, eat some pierogies.
Enjoy the scenes.
Be a good time.
Enjoy the scenes. Send us pictures. Matt Hunt will be in Thursday. We're going to be doing a strat chat then. And I'm not sure what we got lined up for Friday yet, but be sure to stay tuned. We'll see you guys all then.
Later, squad.
Peace.